Hey friends, welcome to Misty Moon Designs. My name's Louisa. Today I'm so excited because I'm going to be sharing a beautiful jewelry set using the stunning beads that came in Didi's Deluxe bead box for the month of July. Now if you're not familiar with that box, I'll leave some information down below along with a link to the website and a coupon code in case you're interested. And don't forget that I always model my jewelry at the end of my videos, so please stick around for that. As you can see, we're going to be making two necklaces. One of them's asymmetrical and it features red coral nugget beads and soft aquamarine beads. I'll also be making a very sweet collarbone length necklace featuring adorable Czech glass flower beads and some of the same aquamarine beads as the long necklace. So if you like red and blue together, you're going to love this set. And to finish off the look, we're also going to be making a boho-inspired floral bracelet with mixed elements, bringing out the charm of this beautiful bead collection. Whether you're looking for inspiration or just love the art of beaded jewelry, you won't want to miss this tutorial. So let's go ahead and get started. In today's tutorial, we'll be using the beads that came in Didi's Deluxe bead box for the month of July 2025. And I did do an unboxing video. If you haven't seen it, I'll link it down below. I do encourage you to check it out because I also made this beautiful pair of earrings. And of course, they'll coordinate perfectly with everything in today's jewelry set. But anyway, like I said, I'll link it down below. So let's get started with a toggle necklace first. I'll show you the materials we're going to be needing. Here are the materials for this necklace. And I have to warn you guys, you may hear some landscaping noises. This week has been a really busy week on my street. Pretty much every single day this week, we've had landscapers, home improvement contractors, power washers, you name it. So anyway, if you do hear some noise, I apologize. There's nothing much I can do about it. But anyway, here are the materials for the necklace. We have these two beautiful Czech flower bead focals. I think this one measures 16 millimeters and this one might measure 18 millimeters across. And then I have these red coral nuggets. They're irregular in shape and they measure anywhere between 8 and 12 millimeters in length. And then I have these lovely aquamarine beads. They measure 6 millimeters across. I have this really pretty flower link and a toggle clasp, and they're both in a bronze color. Now initially when I came up with this necklace, I wanted to use this gorgeous pendant. This one came in the box, but as you can see, it's gold metal with enamel, and I wanted to use the bronze components. So then I tried to figure out a way to work it in by adding gold accents along with the bronze. And I made a couple of different designs and didn't like any of them. So then to make things easy for myself, I decided not to use it, unfortunately. It's a shame because it's so pretty. Look at it. It really is lovely. Of course, that doesn't mean you can't use it in your necklace if you decide to do my design. But anyway, I'm going to be creating a pendant with these two focal beads, and it's going to look really nice. Of course, in addition to these materials, I'll be using some jump rings as well, which I'll bring out later on. And today we're going to be using 20 gauge wire in a bronze color, as you can see. So that means I'll be doing simple loops. Now I have to warn you, these nuggets have very small holes, so you may end up having to use 22 gauge and maybe do wrap loops instead. Either that or use a bead reamer. But I did have a difficult time with a lot of the nuggets. These were the only ones that I could fit 20 gauge through. So I'm just telling you ahead of time in case you run into that issue. I'll be doing simple loops with all of the beads that you see here. So let me clear my mat, because if I don't do that, sometimes when my camera doesn't focus well, it tries to focus on what's on the mat instead. And when I come back, I'll show you how to do both techniques, simple loops and wrap loops, in case you run into the issue where you can't fit your craft wire through these beads. So I'll be right back. Alright, so here's one of the focal beads, and here I have a piece of 20 gauge wire. It measures about 1.5 inches. I'm going to grab it about 3/8 of an inch down, bend it, and now with my round nose pliers, I'm going to grab the end, making sure that it's flush with my barrels, and I'm going to form a loop. You want to make sure your loop is closed and centered as well. Let me close it a little bit more. There we go. And now I'm just going to slide my bead onto the wire like this. I'm going to grab it with my flat nose pliers. These are actually called tapered flat nose pliers. I like these because they have a 2 millimeter tip. So I'm going to grab it at the top like this, line up the bottom loop, bend it, cut off the excess, leaving 3/8 of an inch, grab the end with my round nose pliers, and form a loop. And now I'm going to line up my loops. So I'm grabbing both of them like this to make sure they're facing the same direction. And that's how you do a simple loop. Very, very easy. Whoops. So now let me show you how to do a wrap loop. I'm going to use one of the nuggets. For wrap loops, you're going to need a longer piece. I think this one measures 2.5 inches. I'm going to grab it at the top like this, a little bit more than 1/3 of the way down, bend it, reposition my pliers, wrap the tail around the nose of the pliers, flip the pliers around, continue to wrap to the back, like that. I'm going to grab the loop with these pliers. I like using these because they have skinny tips. And now with these pliers, I'm going to grab the tail and I'm going to do a couple of wraps. Cut off the excess. Tuck in the little end. Slide the bead on. By the way, when you're wire wrapping these beads, it's a good idea to make sure that your wire is perfectly straight. It'll go in a lot easier that way. So now I'm going to grab the wire at the top of the bead like this, bend it, reposition my pliers, wrap the tail around the nose, flip the pliers around, continue to wrap to the back. And I'm going to leave that open because I'm going to connect another bead to it. So here's another bead. I have another piece of wire. Once again, I'm going to grab the wire a little bit more than 1/3 of the way down, not quite half the way down. Bend it, reposition my pliers, wrap the tail around the nose, flip the pliers around, continue to wrap to the back. Grab the loop, grab the tail, and do a couple of wraps. Snip off the excess. Tuck in that little end. Slide the bead on. Grab the wire. Line up the bottom loop. Bend it. Reposition the pliers. Wrap the tail around the nose. Flip the pliers around, continue to wrap to the back. I'm going to leave it open. And I'm going to go ahead and open up this loop a little bit. Slide my component into it. Like that. Grab the loop. Grab the tail and do a couple of wraps. Make sure my loops are lined up. Snip off the excess. Tuck in that little end. And that's how you connect components with wrap loops. Very simple. So now let me show you how to connect beaded components with simple loops. Let me put these off to the side. I'll use the Aquamarine beads. Here's another piece of wire. It measures about 1 1/4 inches. I'm going to grab it 3/8 of an inch down, bend it, grab the end, form a loop, slide the bead on, grab the wire again, right above the bead, bend it, cut off the excess, leaving 3/8 of an inch, grab the end, form a loop, line up my loops, So there's one. And here's another one I made ahead of time. You simply open up the loop like this, slide this component into it, and close it. And that's how you connect simple loops. Very, very easy. It does take practice. I'm not going to lie to you. So if you're new, you may have a little trouble. Just keep trying. I know it took me a while to learn all these techniques, but you know what they say. Practice makes perfect. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and mount the rest of the beads on wire, and then I'll connect them, and I'll show you how to make the pendant and attach the clasp. So I'll see you in a few moments. Okay, I've mounted all my beads and I've connected them, as you can see, and this strand measures about 19.5 inches. So now we're going to create the pendant. Let me just put this off to the side. Here's the focal bead, and here's the link and toggle clasp, and here's the dangle that goes at the bottom. I'm going to use a ball head pin for that. So let me go ahead and mount it on this ball head pin. I'm going to grab the pin with my round nose pliers right above the bead, bend it, reposition, wrap the tail around the nose, flip the pliers around, continue to wrap to the back. Let me open it up. I'm going to slide this component into it. Like that. Grab the loop. Grab the tail and do some wraps. And I'm going to do about two wraps. Let me cut off the excess. I need to tuck that end in. So that part's done. And now I'm going to connect this one to the focal bead. So let me open up this loop. I have to figure out which way I want it to face. What do you think, guys? I guess it doesn't matter. Let me open up this loop. Slide this component into it. Like that. And close it up. And now I'm going to connect the pendant to the ring portion of the toggle clasp, and I'm going to use a 5mm jump ring for that. Let me open it. Close it up really well. So this is what we have so far. Here's my beaded strand. Here's the other bead. I'm going to open up this loop. Slide the bead into it, or the loop of the component, I should say. And now I'm going to use a jump ring to connect this bead to the toggle clasp ring. I'm going to use a 4mm jump ring for this. Close it up. Oops. I'm a little bit clumsy today for some reason. And now I'm going to connect the bar portion to that Aquamarine. I have another 4mm jump ring. Close it up. So this necklace is finished. I think it's so cute. It really is. I'm going to put it on later on so you'll see what it looks like. But basically the toggle clasp obviously goes in the front. Now you could potentially omit the jump rings, you don't really need them, but I just think it makes the piece drape better when you use a couple of jump rings at the pendant. Let me just do up the clasp and show you what it looks like. So there's my pretty asymmetrical necklace. I hope you like it, and I hope you can make your own. Of course, you don't have to do an asymmetrical necklace like this because the box actually came with 2 of these blue ones. So you could split up the red beads and the blue beads and have an even amount on either side of the pendant. But the reason I ended up designing an asymmetrical necklace is because I used one of these blue beads for the bracelet, which meant that I was left with just one. So anyway, guys, it's something different. Sometimes you have to step out of your comfort zone and create something a little bit more abstract, if you want to call it that, or something a little bit more original. But anyway, the next necklace is actually going to coordinate with this one because obviously I'm using similar beads and the same colors. So let me get the materials for that. Well, I had to insert this little clip because there's something I forgot, and it's a very important detail. You don't want to miss this one. I haven't corrected it yet because I wanted to show you how to correct it. I'm actually glad that I noticed it in case you make the same mistake. As you can see, the ring portion is parallel to the mat or horizontal because you want it to sit flat on your chest, which means that the jump ring is vertical and this loop should be horizontal. But if that loop's horizontal and so is this one, then this component isn't going to sit properly. So to fix that, we need to change this bottom loop so that it's perpendicular to the other one. Another little detail that's very important, if you're right dominant like I am, you're going to want the bar portion on the right side of the necklace, which in this case it would be this side, because that's where it's going to be when you put it on. So that's another very important detail. It makes a difference. So let me show you how to change it. I'm going to grab this loop with these pliers, and I'm going to grab this one with another set, and I'm going to turn them so that they're perpendicular, just like that. So now let's take a look. Let me just flip this toggle around. Like that. As you can see, this component is sitting properly. It's facing the front. I also have the toggle clasp on the right side of the necklace, and that's exactly what I want. So that's another thing that's very important that I totally missed, but I'm glad I caught it so that if you make the same mistake, you can correct it. Here are the beads for this necklace. As you can see, I have the same Aquamarine beads, the same ones that I used on the toggle necklace. And I also have these Czech Flower Beads. They came in the box as well, and they measure 8mm across. So I'm going to do the same thing that I did with the toggle necklace. I'm going to do simple loops on all of them, and I'm going to use the same 20 gauge wire. And I forgot to mention, if you decided to do wrap loops instead of simple loops on the red beads, you should do wrap loops for all of them. And obviously you should use the same gauge wire, which would be the 22 gauge. So in order to save time, I'm going to go ahead and create my beaded components and link them off camera. And then when I come back, I'll show you how to attach an extended chain and the clasp. So I'll see you in a few moments. As you can see, I've completed my beaded components and I've connected them. The whole thing measures about 16 inches. So by the time I add the clasp and the jump rings, it'll be a little bit longer, but it should sit at the collarbone. And I am going to attach an extended chain so that I have the option of wearing it longer if I want to. But anyway, there are 13 aquamarine beads on this side and 13 on that side. And of course the 5 flowers at the bottom. And they're all simple loops. Let me show you. You could do wrap loops if you want to, but I like simple loops better for some reason. So now we're going to attach the extended chain and the clasp. Here's the extended chain and here's the clasp. And I do want to embellish the extended chain. So I'm going to use one of these beads on a ball head pin. This one came in the designer strand. I'm going to grab it with my round nose pliers like this, bend it, reposition my pliers, wrap the tail around the nose, flip the pliers around, and continue to wrap to the back. Let me open up that loop. Slide my chain into it, like that. Grab the loop, grab the tail, and do a couple of wraps. Cut off the excess. I probably should have used a shorter pin because it's a shame to cut off so much of this pin. Oh well. I just grabbed what was handy. Let me tuck in that tail. So there's my extended chain. I'm going to use a 4mm jump ring to attach the clasp. Let me open it up. And close it. For the extended chain, I'm going to use a 5mm jump ring. And that's all there is to it. A very sweet little necklace, which you can wear by itself or you can wear it with the other one. And of course, I'll be modeling it along with the other one at the end of this video, so please stick around for that. And now we're going to move on to the final project for today, a beautiful floral themed bracelet. So let me get the materials for that. Here are the materials for the bracelet. As you can see, I have more of the 8mm Czech Flower Beads. I also have this focal bead, the same one that I used on the first necklace, the toggle necklace. I have the link, the flower link. I have this one right here. It has a swirly design and it measures about 8mm in size. It came in the designer strand. And then I have one of the coral nugget beads. And as you can see, it's also asymmetrical. This side is structured and this one's more free form. But I did try to organize the beads so they're ranging in size from large to small. And then I have this closed center ring. It measures 8mm in size. And I'm going to be attaching a bunch of dangles to it. I'm going to attach a total of 8. And here they are. We have 2 aquamarine beads. We have another one of these red faceted rondelles from the designer strand. We have this lovely bronze bead, which came in the designer strand as well. It measures 10 by 6mm. And we also have these 2 bronze colored beads. They came in the designer strand. And then we have these tiny little teardrop crystal beads. I'm gonna have 2 on a head pin. Since they're so small, I didn't want to just have one for this bracelet. And I'll show you how to do that in just a few moments. And then of course we have the clasp. This one came in the box as well. And that's basically the whole bracelet. So the first thing we're gonna do is to create the dangles for the ring. And once again, I'm gonna have to clear my mat so my camera focuses. Let me go ahead and show you how to do the teardrop ones. I'm actually gonna load the skinny end first. And then this one, I'm gonna go in this way. So it looks like this. But you can do it whichever way you want to, guys, honestly. I'm grabbing the pin right above the beads. Bend it. Reposition my pliers. Wrap the tail around the nose. Flip the pliers around. Continue to wrap to the back. Let me open up that loop a little bit. Grab the ring. Insert the ring into the loop. Grab the loop. Grab the tail and do a couple of wraps. And this time I used a smaller ball head pin. So there's not a lot of wastage. Let me cut off the excess. It's a little difficult to get in here because these beads are so tiny. There we go. And always tuck the little end in so there aren't any sharp ends sticking out. So there's my first dangle attached. I'm going to do another one just like that using these 2 beads, and then all of these are going to be hung separately on their own ball head pin. So again, in order to save time, I'm going to do them off camera and I'll be right back. As you can see, I've attached all my dangles. I've also mounted all my beads on wire, and I've connected some of them, not all of them, because I want to show you how to assemble this bracelet. And I just learned that 2 houses down they're doing power washing, so that's the 3rd one this week. Can you believe it? This week has been really bad as far as contractors. So anyway, if you hear a noise, that's what it is. And again, I apologize for the noise. I don't like to have a lot of noise in the background. I'm always mindful of that. Now, before I connect everything together, I do want to talk about the orientation of the loops because that's important. Obviously, you're going to want this ring to sit flat on your wrist, which means that whatever connects to it has to be vertical. So these 2 have to have loops that are vertical or perpendicular to the mat. So let's go through each one. Vertical, horizontal, vertical, horizontal, vertical. So I'm going to connect this one to either the ring or the bar portion of the toggle clasp. I think I'm going to connect it to the ring because this side of the bracelet is a little bit shorter than this one, and I want to attach a jump ring to that one. And there's another reason why I need to attach a jump ring to that one. Let's go through these ones now. Vertical, horizontal, vertical, horizontal, and that's the reason why. I need something vertical in order to attach to the bar portion of the toggle clasp, because that needs to be horizontal. I hope that makes sense, and I hope I'm not confusing you. If you're experienced, you know what I'm talking about. If you're new to jewelry making, you may not realize this, but if I don't use a jump ring there, the bar portion of the toggle clasp is going to sit perpendicular to the mat, and you don't want that. You want it parallel. So here's a jump ring. It measures 4 millimeters in size. So let me go ahead and attach this side. I'm going to open up this loop like this. And now let me pick up the ring, slide it in, and close it. Let me just organize my dangles, because I want 4 on one side and 4 on the other. Like that. In other words, I'm going to be attaching that loop to the ring in that little space there between the dangles. So let me go ahead and open up the loop. Pick up my ring. Slide the ring in and close it. It's going to be messy, but that's what you want. You want a lot of movement on that ring. So now as you can see, that loop is vertical. I'm going to attach it to the component. So that's done. Let me open up this one now. Slide it in, close it. And now we just have to attach the clasp. Let me open up this jump ring. Slide the loop into it. The bar portion of the toggle clasp. It's always a good idea anyway to attach a jump ring where the bar portion is to make it easier to do up your bracelet. Isn't that pretty? I love how it looks. And now for the ring portion, I'm not going to attach a jump ring. Here it is. I have 2 reasons. One, I really don't need a jump ring because that loop is facing the right direction. It's going to sit vertically. And another reason is that I want the ring to sit pretty sturdy so that I can do it up properly. If it has a jump ring attached, then it moves around too much. I hope that makes sense. So anyway, let me open up the loop. Slide my ring portion in and close it. And there we go. A beautiful floral themed bracelet. Very attractive. And I love the colors. Let me put it on real quick. Since it's a toggle clasp, it's very easy to put on. That's a really pretty bracelet. It really is. I love it. And I like all those dangles. And it fits nicely too. So anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope I've given you some ideas. I know not everybody has these beads, but maybe if you go to Didi's Beads online shop, you might be able to find them. Otherwise, you can check down in the description section of this video because I'm going to leave a list of all the materials down there. And before I model the jewelry, let me go ahead and arrange everything on my mat, including the earrings that I made last week, which again, I'm going to leave the link to that video down below in case you want to make those earrings. So I'll see you in a few moments. Well, here's the whole set. 2 necklaces, a bracelet, and a pair of earrings. And I know you can't see the whole thing. I apologize for that, but I think you get the idea. So anyway, guys, I hope I've given you some ideas today and some tips. especially if you're new to jewelry making. I'm going to go ahead and model this jewelry now so you can see what it looks like, because you really can't tell until you see it on the person. Thank you so much for watching. I'm looking forward to seeing you again. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.